Hi, everyone. It's Cindy McIntosh with ScotWeek, and thank you so much for joining us on this first of ScotWeek's actual vlogs. And I am so extremely honored and excited to not only be doing our first vlog episode, but having one of my most favorite people in this whole world join me here today. And this is Iain Donald MacGillivray, Commander of MacGillivray Clan. And he's joined us from the north of Scotland. Iain, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Cindy. It's a pleasure to be here, and what some kind words there. That's really kind of you to say that. It's really a pleasure to be here and delighted to be on your show.
Well, I have been a great fan of yours, as you know, because I always tell you, especially when I see you. I've been a member of Clanhatten Association for a great many years, and you kind of came into the picture not that many years ago. And just to let our viewership know what Clanhatten Association is, Clanhatten was a confederation for many centuries. And it formed I think somewhere back in the 13th century, originally with just a couple of clans, maybe the Davidsons, maybe the McPhersons, along with the Macintoshes. And now it's an association, and it consists of 12 major clans in the north of Scotland, including the MacGillivrays. I'm not sure at what date you might be able to share with us that the MacGillivrays entered into the Clanhatten Confederation and what year that was. I know that in 1609, there was a bond of union officially at Termit in Scotland, where the clans that are part of the association today bonded together with that confederation. And this is the only confederation that ever was, as I understand it, in Scotland, and it was formed for protection. The Highlands were very bloody for a great many years.
That's right. I mean, I think when the MacGillivrays became part of the Clanhatten Association or the confederation back then I think it was sometime during the 16th century. And see, before then, the MacGillivrays were based more in the west, like the Isle of Mull and Skye along the western peninsula of Ardnamurchan and Morven, Lochaber, right down to even Argyll. And so they're predominantly in the west, and they were probably under the control of the MacDonalds at that time, especially during the lordship of the Isles. The MacGillivrays would have been staunch allies with the MacDonalds, the MacLeans, the MacNeils, various clans, MacInneses, all these clans, MacDougals along the western coast there. And then it was through a marriage, I think it was the son of the MacGillivray chief married the daughter of the Macintosh chief. And then that's what happened. So the clan MacGillivray pretty much moved up north to become part of this Clanhatten Confederation under the Macintoshes. And then their stronghold became Dunmaglass, which is of course right in the dominion of Clanhatten lands there.
It's truly remarkable. And also just want to say real quickly before we talk more about you, also on the battlefield, the Culloden battlefield is at the Well of the Dead. There is a stone that says, "Here lies the chief MacGillivray." Very famous battle. If you don't know anything about it, you need to look up, and we'll talk more about the Culloden battlefield here in a few minutes. But the MacGillivray chief is perhaps the most famous of the warriors on the clan side that fought that battle, and he fell there. And after having struck down, I don't even know how many of the British forces, and then he went over to the well to get a drink for someone who was badly injured right before he fell and lost his own life.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, when people think of Culloden, and for those that don't know about it, I mean, it's just made a resurgence of interest in the Outlander series, and we thank the Outlander for that as well, especially, and Diana Gabaldon and all the guys who were involved with that. And but Culloden is probably one of the most important pieces of field in Scottish history. Scotland was changed after that battle, and for everything transformed after that. You had the banning of the kilt, the bagpipes, the Gaelic language, the destruction of the clan system, all the things that we hold dear and that are iconic features and iconic identity symbols of Scotland is what the British government tried to suppress after that battle. And of course, most of the Scottish diaspora around the world can trace back the turning point at that battle from where they are now, wherever they are in the world. And so it's a pretty amazing, it's a very, very important piece of heritage, ancestral and cultural identity. It's a massive part of that field at Culloden. And it is, as well, to the Macintoshes and of course our chief who fell there, Alexander MacGillivray. Usually it was the MacDonalds who led the charges before, during the Jacobite Rebellion and previously. But in this case, it was given to the chief of the clan MacGillivray, and it was Colonel Anne Macintosh that gave Alexander MacGillivray the honour of leading the charge of the Jacobites against the British Redcoats. And of course, they were the first to break the line, and they got past almost to the second reserve line of British troops. And that's when the disaster happened. And unfortunately, it's one of the biggest tragedies in Scottish history. That's all that really happened.
Absolutely. And I had the great honor of playing at the cairn there, I believe in 2009. And it really moved me. I could barely play my pipes there because you just feel this sense of history and what happened there. And just a very, very sacred place to be. For all those of you who haven't visited there, you must go. And it's not that far from Moy, the Macintosh lands as well. So we hope that you attend. But I want to talk a little bit more about you. I was so excited. I'm not sure when I first heard that the Lord Lion had appointed, and is that correct, a way for me to put that, he appointed a MacGillivray commander?
That's right. He was. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. They were. The Clan MacGillivray was formulating plans for because the Lord Lion was pushing for the MacGillivrays to have a leader ahead of the clan, because we hadn't had one for quite a long time. I mean, our last Clan MacGillivray chief died just after the First World War. No, sorry, just before the First World War, and it passed to his cousin in Canada, who died just before the Second World War. Both didn't have any heirs, so the chiefship couldn't be passed on, and it's usually passed on through lineage. So effectively, it stopped, and it remained dormant. And we had another commander during the 80s called Colonel George B. MacGillivray, who did a lot for the clan as well, but he was never appointed clan chief. I don't know what happened there. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but he was never really recognised as chief. So the Clan MacGillivray and the Lord Lion worked together to try and have a leader instead. And I guess they wanted someone young. I ticked a few of the boxes without even knowing. And you know, being a Gaelic speaker, being quite close to the culture and the music, living in Scotland, I had a university degree. I'd had experience abroad as well. I'd lived in the United States actually, which I loved. Had a great education at the College of St Scholastica. My mother came from Alpena, Michigan. My grandmother came from Australia, just in New South Wales and near, just away from Dubbo. So I think all these international links, as well as being very culturally Scottish and tied to the land, I guess ticked that bonus box of being eligible for this clan commander. And I guess I'm going to be re-elected next year. Well, I need to face, I think if there's anyone that's going to run against me, that's fine as well. Happy to support anyone who's running against me as well in this democratic system we've got now. And then I think in 5 or 10 years' time, if the Lord Lion's happy and MacGillivrays are happy, I guess that's when made chief. But we'll see what happens. I'm just in it for the cause. I'm in it for the clan MacGillivray itself. I'm not really in it for titles or for positions. I'm just in it for the greater good for the whole Scottish movement of the clan resurgence, you want to say.
And very well done, because you are the youngest head of a Scottish clan, which is phenomenal. And I was so happy to see such a vibrant young person come forward and have this interest and want to do this, because of course here in the United States, it's super cool. Everything Scottish is super cool. To wear your kilt is super cool. You know, to go to the Highland Games and to be part of it in some way, shape, or form is romanticized in such a way that it's all very super cool. But then I feel like a lot of times there in Scotland, it's maybe not. I don't know, you know, or maybe it's like, you know, belonging to the high school band, you know, you may be somewhat nerdy, if I may say so. So it's not, I get the feeling that, you know, the Scots don't understand across the 324 million Americans in this country, that it is all things Scottish are super cool, and to belong to a clan and to be part of something, and the history is just amazing, because we don't have, this country is not very old, and we've talked about this many times, and so everyone's trying to find their roots, but the Scottish diaspora is very much intact, and we have over 124 games across this country, Scottish Highland games every year, and it is really, Scotland is so celebrated here. And I was so enthralled and so excited to hear that a young person such as yourself had this interest and was coming forward. And I feel like you are inspiring people, and hopefully other young people to take part and take notice and to become involved. And how can people find you and your clan? Let's talk about that, and how they can join and become part of the MacGillivray clan. But also, you had planned a very large gathering for this year, which you had to cancel, and that was going to be very exciting for you as well.
That's right. Yeah, I can talk about that. I mean, firstly, I remember soon after I was elected, when I met you, yourself, Cindy, when obviously you were piping for the Clanhatten Association, our dinner, and you were so congratulatory. I mean, you came up to me and congratulated me, and it was, oh, you're amazing, and it was great to receive that kind of welcoming from yourself, as well as a few others, and it was a great time, and I think going back, I mean, I know what you're saying as well with, I think we take it for granted here in Scotland, this whole thing of wearing the kilts, and it's just like, oh, we're just going to attend the Highland Games, we're just going to, the pipe bands are coming, or we're just going to go out to the pub to play some music, and this is all before COVID, obviously, and I think we take it for granted here, but then when you go to the States, they so appreciate it. It's quite iconic, and it is cool, and the Scottish Americans do, and it is cool to be part of this tradition, to be part of these iconic identities, these proud symbols, and yeah, then going back to the Clan MacGillivray gathering, obviously we were expecting a record-breaking gathering this year, and hosting people from all over the world. In fact, we were going to have the largest gathering in our history, I think, potentially even before Culloden. And we were expecting the most nationalities. We had about 30 different nationalities covering all continents as well. So that it was going to be a massive gathering. We were so looking forward to it, so excited. And then suddenly the virus kicked in. We had to shut down things, and we had to postpone it now till 2022. So I hope we can keep the interest, the enthusiasm, the resurgence forever for that occasion. But it was sad to have to do it, but we had no alternative. There was no choice. We just had to postpone it eventually to another date. That's all we could do, really.
No, I understand completely. We had to do the same with ScotWeek, and it's been a challenge, but I think at the end of the pandemic, people are going to be so keen to get out there and to come and enjoy life again and reconnect, that you may actually have a much larger contingency than maybe perhaps even from this year. But also, how do people find more information about the Clan MacGillivray and find you and connect with you? How can people do that and follow you and follow what you're doing?
I mean, we're doing a lot through social media at the moment. We find that online seems to be quite a good way of doing things. I mean, there is a lot of members who don't have access to social media, and I think this is across the board for a lot of clans. There is a few elderly members that still do things by email, and just by email. I know some even don't do email as well. They just depend on the newsletters coming in every month or every 3 months, or just depend on hearing through family members. But I know it's especially for the younger generation and the majority of people, is that social media seems to be the way. So you can link on Facebook pages, their websites, and we're still working on how to get more attention and gain more membership through online sources. And so we've got some really good people. Actually, we've got Mary MacGillivray, who runs our online team in Australia, and another guy called John Loughney, who runs our online team in USA. And the both of them have been great, and we've still got some things to get going as well. But they've been great to work with, and they've got some great ideas about how to kind of get more membership and to gain more attention or traction with members. And again, it's one of these things, Cindy, you come in Scotland, I think, what was the clans in Scotland? The one people, one glen, one tartan, one identity. Now they're all over the world. It's become diverse. They're in different countries. And it's funny that the clan interest now is outside of Scotland rather than inside of Scotland, as it once was. And it's those people outside of Scotland that are keeping the clan tradition alive. So it's interesting how the tables have turned and things have gone nowadays. But it's I revere these people. I revere the Scottish Americans, our Scottish Australians, our Dutch MacGillivrays. We've got some Italians, some Argentinians, Chileans, South Africans. We've even got a few members in Japan, India, and Oman and Qatar. I mean, these people really, they hold their roots dear, and I feel it goes back to the saying: those who are distanced from their roots tend to hold their roots that much stronger. That's why people in the States and USA are so proud to go to Highland Games. I mean, some of the biggest Highland Games are in Grandfather Mountain in North Carolina. They're in Pleasanton, California. I mean, I think was it the biggest ever pipe band gathering? It was 1,000 pipers and drummers in California at Pleasanton. Just astounding. Some of the biggest in Australia are Victoria Highland Games, 80,000 people a year. I mean, you're talking huge numbers. They dwarf the ones we've got in Scotland. You know, I mean, it just shows the interest, the enthusiasm. It's the Scottish diaspora that's keeping Scottish identity alive, and I love that. I'm so proud of that enthusiasm and that spirit. You know.
I do. I'm always out on that field with the mass bands at Pleasanton. I actually compete there every year for, I think, probably the last 20 years. And there's nothing like being in that sea of pipers and drummers and playing with all of those musicians, as well as we usually have the Marine Third Wing Aircraft Band with us as well. And it's truly an amazing experience. And then the grandstands are just full of thousands and thousands of people, tens of thousands of people attend these events every year. And it is amazing to see. And I always get chills thinking about it and going, and absolutely love it. I love being at those games, and I love being in Scotland. I've missed it so much this year. I can't even tell you. I'm there every year, at least once a year, and sometimes twice and three times. And I absolutely love it. I knew from the moment I first stepped foot in Scotland, I was very young. I just felt this energy, and I knew that this is where all of my ancestors came from and my family. I felt, I can't explain it, but I just felt sort of the earth tremor in that moment. And I have had this burning in me ever since, having everything to do with Scotland. And I absolutely love that country, and, you know, love being part of.
That's the thing. It's, I mean, you're a fine piper yourself, Cindy, and I think, you know, yourself being connected with the music, you know, and we understand the music as well. And I think it's funny understanding the music. I mean, music is such a big part of Scottish tradition. It's such a big part of the culture. And I think there's only two places on the earth that you'd probably say, Scotland and Ireland, where music is such an intrinsically foundational element of the soul of Scotland, you know. And music is taken so seriously here, and it's such a huge part of the tradition, and it's got so much expression as well in terms of, I mean, our country, our history has gone through a lot of emotion in the past. Clan Macintosh, MacGillivray, McFarlane's, I mean, Diana McFarlane, we talked about this as well, and it's gone through such emotion, and a lot of that emotion, and because they couldn't, when everything got suppressed and oppressed, their only way of channeling that emotion was through music. And some of those, I think, I still to this day think some of the most beautiful pipe pieces or bagpipe music, and some of the most beautiful Gaelic songs comes from that era, post Culloden, of that era of suppression and banning of the culture and the tradition. And that's continued on till now, when we've got a resurgence in the music and everything. And it's just, and then when people come back as well, when those who are distanced from Scotland, they come back. I mean, it's your ancestral homeland. It's yours. It's Diana's. It's everyone out there. When they come back, I think there's a sense of belonging, and it's a sudden emotion of, wow, I'm back in my homeland. This is my ancestral roots. Literally, my grandfather, my grandmother, or my great-great-grandmother, great-great-grandfather stepped on this land. This was their clan land. They literally physically stepped where I'm standing now. And there's a great, it's almost phenomenal. It's phenomenal experiencing that, feeling that. And we take it for granted here in Scotland, but those who come back to their clan roots, to their Scottish roots, they really feel it. It's overwhelming, and I could see that in people's eyes. I could see it in their emotions. It's incredible to see that, to witness that, you know.
It is, and also talking more about the music. In addition to being the head of Clan MacGillivray and the clan commander, you are also a hugely talented musician, and you not only play bagpipes, you play other instruments, you write music, you have bands. Tell us a little bit about your music and what you're doing and how people can find your music and listen to it. And we'll certainly have some clips available, not only below in the description, but also we'll weave some in, edit some into this interview as well.
Well, I've got some, at the moment, I'm in 3 different musical directions. If our whole family is really musical here, and at the moment, I'm on the cusp of actually 2 different albums. They're both Scottish music related, but one's an album. It's a series of music I've composed for the Clan MacGillivray, which I'm going to either release next year or the year after. I'm planning to. I need to speak with Creative Scotland further and other places just to kind of gain some funding, help or some kind of financial assistance, especially during these current times. But this one, I'm going to call it Clanhatten, the album, named after where our stone, it's quite a pivotal stone where a lot of our Clan MacGillivray members met before Culloden to sharpen their stones for the battle. And that's where they would have retreated to as a meeting point as well. But it's a strong symbolic stone in our Clan MacGillivray history. So I've composed, it's very much Scottish traditional music and bagpipe music solely for different periods of the Clan MacGillivray's history. So that's one album I'm working on. And then the other album, which is quite interesting as well, is I'm working on an album mixing kind of Scottish Celtic dance techno music in a more kind of modern setting and trying to kind of facilitate this packaged sound of Scotland in a kind of radio playable format that could be distributed to the mainstream ear, and something that's not just putting a tune to a beat or a beat to a tune, but to make something like create a riff, create a sound, like a kind of unique signature sound of a Scottish Celtic element, and make it cool, make it trendy, make it quite hip, So that's in the process at the moment. And then of course I do different soundtrack material. I do audiovisual soundtracks and all composition stuff. And my brothers and I, we have a band which is different as well. It's called the McGills, which is more of a kind of rock pop group, and it's all original material as well. I miss performing with the boys, actually. They're all doing their different jobs. And that was the funnest, actually, performing with the brothers. And we used to do Belladrum Tartan Heart Festival. And I miss doing the festivals, and they've got a lot of their music on the go as well. They're recording a lot of stuff right now and trying to get it out there. We're in the middle of doing some music videos for both things. So we're in all these kind of 3 different musical directions and hoping to get out there, And soon, it will happen soon as well. So hoping by the end of this year, if not by the start of next year, we should have some stuff out there. Yeah.
That would be great. And I heard that your sister sings beautiful Gaelic music.
Yeah, Anya's a great singer. We're quite blessed in this household, and especially with Anya, she's doing her nursing at the moment, but she's got such a lovely voice. It's beautiful, and she's received quite a lot of recognition from the Scottish traditional music world here as well. And she's performed at Celtic Connections, and I think she's due to perform at Blast Festival as well this year. And yeah, I think she's going to go far. And I've already used her for a lot of my music material as well, so I'm looking forward to that. And she's a fantastic singer. I love her to pieces, and love working with her as well. And we fight and we tussle, with disagreements, and it's sometimes you have to kind of, all right, play her safely to try and get her to do stuff. But she's great. I mean, she's more than enthusiastic. She's got it, and it's a good brother-sister team,
I love it. So how many siblings do you have, and how do they feel about you being clan commander?
I mean, they give me, they kind of joke around a lot about it, and I get joked around by a lot of my friends and stuff, And like, oh, should we bow here, Chief? Oh, should we bow to you? Oh, here, I'll kiss your feet, Chief. Oh, God, come on, guys, stop. It's what you call taking the piss here. But I mean, my brothers, they think it's a cool thing as well. I think it's quite an honor. It's a really honorary position to have, and I'm trying to do my best for the clan and trying to keep that image going, trying to keep the clan tradition going, as well as letting it evolve and develop as it should grow, And what I always say, there's a famous battlefield band saying, it's called taking Scotland forward, or going forward with Scotland's past, forward with Scotland's past. And I guess that slogan I'm trying to use for the Clan MacGillivray is taking that tradition unbroken, but letting it grow and keeping it, but also letting it develop and everything. And we're just going to see where it goes. But yeah, I'm one of 6 kids in the household, 4 of us boys, 4 of us brothers, 2 sisters. All do music, all do different things. The boys are really good guitarists and bass guitar, electric guitar. And I call my brother the kind of Jimmy MacGillivray Hendrix. He's really good on the guitar. And Anya does fiddle. The girls do fiddle and Highland dancing and whistle and singing and all this kind of stuff. They play clarsach, the harp. So yeah, it's a really interesting time when we're all together, whether it's Christmas or this, and we play a lot of music together, and we need to get more out there kind of online and get some more music videos to share with people, because yeah, we had a few comments and suggestions coming in to do more of that, so we'll have to get that more on the go, Cindy, you know.
I would love to see that. And wouldn't it be fun to have, I would make this recommendation. I don't know who's going to see this, but it would be so much fun to have your family come and perform at the Clanhatten Association AGM. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be amazing. Oh, that'd be a real privilege. Oh, we'd love to do something like that.
I'm like, I'm no one to be able to extend that to. I know we're on the standing council together, which is great fun. And I'm very honored and proud to serve on that standing council, but it would be really fun to have your family come and play. Maybe we can put that in someone's ear so that they can maybe look at how to do that. You know, and that goes back to, I'm just thinking back, the first time I met you, you were new clan commander. And I remember being just so amazed. Was it the first year you came or the second year? One year you came to the AGM and you had gotten up out of your hospital bed. And
Oh,
I heard it had taken quite a while for you to be able to put your kilt on because you had a broken back. Is this correct?
That's right. I mean, I'm lucky to be alive to be talking here, really. But it was, that's right. I think I was like an hour and a half late for that AGM, just because I was taking ages getting all the gear on. I had to get a lot of help getting the kilt on and everything. But I thought I've got to be present for the Clanhatten AGM. It was just important to me. I'm really proud of the Clan MacGillivray being part of that clan confederation and the clan association. I mean, it symbolizes unite the clans. You know, that whole unite the clans, unite the clans. It's what the Caledonians did to fend off the Romans at that time. That kind of symbolism of defiance, yet unity with our own. You know, with these clans uniting. That's to me why it's so important to be part of the Clanhatten Confederation. We've got a lot of history there, but I do remember that. Yeah, I remember having. I think I was talking to yourself and Diana, and yeah, I just kind of came in the brace and the crutches, and it was just important to make an appearance. You know, I felt. But yeah,
You were so brave, and I was so amazed at your courage. You could tell that you were maybe not comfortable, I should say, and maybe a little uncomfortable, and if not a lot uncomfortable, and that you would get up out of a hospital bed with a broken back with this brace on and come and be there and participate was just truly remarkable. And I thought, here is a man with deep Scottish blood, because that you would do that is truly amazing. And I was so impressed, and just, you know, generally with your spirit and everything else, it's just been a great a joy to watch you and to watch all of this unfold. And you've been interviewed there, you know, on TV and radio, and there's many articles people can find online that have been done about you and what you're doing with the clan. And then also, you've been, just for all the Outlander fans, you have been playing pipes for what was Clan Lands last year. So this is our own ScotWeek board member, Graham McTavish, who's a member of the Outlander family, played Dougal Mackenzie, great friend. We love him. Shout out to Graham. And also Sam Hewen got together. And at first it was a podcast series they were doing called Clanlands. So when you first played for them on the Culloden battlefield last year, that was their first season. And then they were in fact picked up by Stars. And so this year they're over there filming during the pandemic, and you're there, which is great. You're able to play with them again, but it was picked up by Stars. It's now called Men in Kilts. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to watch it. And I know it's hysterical. I've heard a lot of fun things about it from Graham, but tell us a little bit about that and what you've been doing with them.
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it myself. Actually, it looks, just from seeing the trailers, it looks a really cool program, and it was great to be involved with that. It was great. I mean, I have to thank you yourself for that opportunity as well. And it was great to work with Graham McTavish and Sam Hewen. I think last year we were filming at Culloden battlefield itself, and this year it was down at Lews Castle itself, which is used as Castle Leach in the whole series. But with Michelle Methven, who was the producer, and there was a few people from California that came over. They were such a brilliant team to work for, and I got to know Graham McTavish and Sam Huon a bit better, and we were talking, even on the side when we weren't filming, we were just talking about Scottish heritage and Culloden itself and the Jacobites and what happened, how important this is to Scotland and everything. And it was, they're great guys as well. They're fantastic to work with as well as just have the crack with, And yeah, it was great. I think we went to a dinner as well last year, which was great as well, with Michelle. And I think there was a guy, Alistair McCush turned up as well. Alistair McCush was it? I'm trying to remember this guy's name. He does all these kind of hill walks in Scotland, and we were all kind of around it. I thought, wow, this is amazing. This is a real Scottish get together here, But it was amazing working with them and seeing what they do and how it comes out. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing it when it comes out. The men in kilts and Clanlands, and a big shout out to Graham and Sam and Michelle as well. They're fantastic to work with, and I'd love to meet them again and to work with them again. And they've been hugely supportive of myself and the Clan MacGillivray and whatever we're doing. And I'm sure they support us further, and I support them as well with whatever they're doing, at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. And their book Clanlands should be coming out here shortly. I did an excerpt. I don't think that the Clanhatten Association is aware of this yet, but I did an excerpt about the Macintosh feuds for their book. So I can't wait to see that either. It'll be really fun to look at it. We kind of did it in a little bit of jest and tried to write it in a sense that kind of makes it, because it all was very absurd, all of the crazy things that the clans, the feuds they got into and the things that they would do to each other was absolutely barbaric, for lack of a better word. And so it should all be great fun to kind of look at. That's kind of, I feel like, what they're trying to highlight with this, and in talking about history as well. So
I think when I first showed up on scene, actually, I think the first thing I saw was, I think Graham and Sam were getting taught how to use the swordsmanship, and how the clans would have done it, how these Jacobite warriors would have fought, So they had a big claymore in each hand, and one of them had a broadsword and a targe, and just going through the motions, I thought, man, I've arrived in the right place, this is it, let's go,
Yeah. Well, so that brings me to a little bit more of a serious issue that I wanted to talk with you about, because I know that you are there sort of boots on the ground in Scotland helping with this. And, ScotWeek is a charity. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. And as such, we are apolitical, and we will not, usually take or never take political sides. But I feel that this subject is very important because it has to do with Culloden, and not just the battlefield, but some of the events that took place in that area that stretched beyond the boundaries of the actual battlefield itself. And, I know in this time of not only pandemic, but really here in the United States especially, there's a lot of controversial things going on, protestations going on, for good or for ill. But I feel like this is about history and some monuments there near the Culloden battlefield that are of great importance and must be preserved. And so with that, I want to talk with you a little bit more about that subject and what's going on there, and how our viewers might be able to help, how we might be able to get involved and help preserve these historical monuments that are great importance to Scotland and its history.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. What's happening at the moment is quite astonishing, really. Whichever angle you come from it, the fact of the matter is, and I'm gaining a lot more information about this from both sides here, but it seems that there's encroaching developments on Culloden battlefield, and people are trying to build on Culloden battlefield itself, there's like 3 different planning developments in motion, and our aim is to try and stop this. And I might be. There's very few people who are for this, but mostly people are against this, because it's not just a battlefield, it's a graveyard, effectively. This is a graveyard where people lost their lives, and particularly if you're a MacDonald, I'd be up in arms about it, because where a lot of the planning is taking place is round about where the MacDonalds had fought. The road that cuts through Culloden itself, the kind of road that you have to drive along to get to Culloden, the actual battlefield that's most visited is just the top right side of the battlefield. I mean, it's where your MacGillivrays and Macintoshes were, Frasers. But this extended, the battlefield extended right across the road, right far into the fields. And the battle lines, I mean, it was a huge area of land. And effectively what they're doing is they're building on a graveyard. I mean, they're building on the battlefield itself, and it's just a sacrilege. And I mean, I don't care really how I come across, because I know I'm gonna, if I step on people's toes, you know, if people have certain financial interests in this, I mean, I don't mind, you can replace me, but you can't replace that battlefield. All I'm saying, you know, I don't mind if I stain myself to protect and preserve something that is irreplaceable, because it is irreplaceable. It's a one-of-a-kind battlefield. The way it's preserved at the moment is unique to many battlefields around the world, not just in this country. But it's important that we keep that. You can build anywhere else, you know, well, not anywhere else, but there's so many other places you can build. But I don't know why you'd build or choose to build on a battlefield, on a graveyard. I mean, so many people from around the world. I mean, it's more meaningful to people whose ancestors fought there, whose clan chiefs are buried there, whose clan people are buried there. And there's a few things that we're trying to do in order to try and gain attention to this, to try and stop this. And one of them is to try and gain international attention. And the way I've been trying to do that is to try and link up with different native peoples in different continents around the world. You know, the Native Americans in the United States and Canada. I mean, Wounded Knee and Little Bighorn, those battlefields, why they're preserved. In Peru, the Incas with Cajamarca, with the Spanish conquest, how it's preserved and how it's a UNESCO status. And the Zulus in South Africa, Isawanda, that battle that was preserved. Japan and the samurai, the Shimayoto, how that battlefield was preserved and what they do to preserve their cultural heritage. In Australia with the Aboriginals. And so we're making all these different cultural parodies and cultural collaborations. That's my way at the moment, which I'm trying to work on in gaining attention, international pressure. What they preserve their battlefields, they preserve their graveyards. Why are we not doing that in Scotland? Why is this not an issue? And I think one of them we're trying to do is we're trying to lobby UNESCO to make Culloden battlefield not just a World Heritage Site, but also a UNESCO site, which means it will have even higher status of preservation and conservation. So sorry,
how,
Cindy, sorry about that. There's a long-winded answer there.
no, I wanted you to talk about it because I know that you know a lot more than I do about this situation and this issue. And it hurts to think that, you know, it's not being preserved. And whatever we can do to help you in your efforts. What do people do? Is there somebody that they can call? Is there an office they can call? Do they write to somebody? What is it that people can do now? And they should do it now, because some of these issues are being voted upon, as I understand it, next week. And so this is so important that people do something now. What do we do?
Yeah, I think at the moment, I mean, there's certain petitions going around, but I think the best thing is to write to the Scottish government, write to the Highland Council, and these are two of the most important people who are making these decisions, who are allowing this to happen, which I don't understand. I don't understand why the Scottish government would allow this to happen, or why the Highland Council would allow this to go ahead. I mean, I always say if this is for financial purposes, historical preservation has always benefited the country financially. You know, there's a financial aim and a financial objective in preserving Scottish history. It's always worked. I mean, you look at Edinburgh, you look at Stirling, you look at Bannockburn. Well, as much as they've tried to preserve at Bannockburn, and Killiecrankie as well has been planned to build a road through it. I mean, cultural and historical preservation in Scotland has always been financially viable. So that's my argument. If you want to make a financial argument to these people who want this to happen, and there's not many of them, there's very few. Most people are very against this. We're trying to create a larger movement in Scotland against this. We've gotten a lot of support, and there's already a couple well-established groups who are already working on legal cases against this development at Culloden. So it's great that they've been involved for a number of years, and I can just add a kind of public showing or some kind of public face to try and stop this, you know. And we were involved in the last protests a couple of years ago when the first developments were being planned. But our aim is to kind of stop this. It's such an important, significant field for the Scottish diaspora, for Scottish genealogy. I mean, you're talking most Scots around the world, or at least a large portion of them, would have been affected by that battle. I mean, a lot of them can trace their roots back to that turf or what happened after that battle. it's so important. It's just I can't emphasize how important it is to protect and preserve that piece of field, that graveyard.
Absolutely. And it's important to note too that we are all about peaceful protests, just peaceful, and to preserve such monuments and artifacts. I think it is very important, and that battlefield lies so close to Moy, just a few short miles from the Macintosh seat. So it's very near and dear to my heart as well. And so anything we can do to assist in a peaceful way, the preservation of these monuments, we will do it. And thank you so much for explaining a little bit more about that. People should educate themselves and learn more about it. And again, we will have many links down below this vlog in the description, links to find Iain MacGillivray and his music, everything about the Clan MacGillivray, as well as what we can find on this subject as well in the Culloden battlefield, and also with men in kilts and all of that fun stuff that's going on. And we're just so pleased that you could join us today, Iain MacGillivray. It's a great joy to see you. I'm so sorry I wasn't there in Scotland this year. I'm going to come just as soon as they will let me in, and that I don't have to be, quarantined for 14 days. Maybe I'll just bite the bullet, as it were, and come and quarantine somewhere for 14 days, some barn or something somewhere, and wait until they say that I'm okay, that I can come out. But please do remember to like and subscribe. This is our new vlog, and this will hopefully morph into more of a little weekly TV show, we're hoping. But Iain, is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you would like to talk about here today?
No, I think, I just want to say it's been a pleasure being on here on ScotWeek and being involved. And thanks to yourself, Cindy McIntosh and Diana McFarlane, just for having me. It's amazing work you're doing over there, and it's great. And I look forward to welcoming you back here in Scotland when you next come. And I know at the moment, I'll just say this, I know there's been a lot of political controversies around the world at the moment, and there's been tearing down of history and statues, and this is really unrelated to that, but like I just feel history is important. It can't be torn down, it can't be erased or scraped. And there's some American patriots, statues of American patriots that are getting torn down. The Declaration of Arbroath is very much similar and on course with the Declaration of Independence, United States. Both our liberties and freedoms. The Declaration of Arbroath 1320 was the template for the Declaration of Independence 1776. So our two countries share a very similar approach to freedom, to liberty, and it's really important. And especially now, the way things are, I would love to see, equality for everyone, freedom, liberty. It's so important in our day and age. And but we can't erase history. We can't tear down history, and we can't build on Culloden battlefield.
Yeah. I know we can't, and this is very true. We can't erase history. It was what it was. It made us who we are. We learned, and we are hopefully growing from it and moving forward. But we need to preserve history. It's so important. And I like to say it. Hopefully this doesn't step on anyone's toes, but I like to say, the Scots with the Declaration of Arbroath, this is still the 700th year anniversary of that declaration in 1320. The Scots attempted to declare freedom, and they had their freedom for a while. I want to feel like and say that they came to the United States and declared their freedom here, and here we still are. So very
Definitely, and I love it. I love that connection, and I'm so proud of that as well. And I just hope that lives on. Let freedom reign. Let it sing out, and I just hope it continues. And especially in this day and age. Yeah.
Iain MacGillivray, Clan Commander of Clan MacGillivray, it's a great honor to have you here today. Can't wait to talk with you again and check back in with you. All the best to you this weekend. I know we're pre-recording this. It's a Tuesday, but we are going to get this out Friday so people can see it to help you in your efforts there to preserve those monuments. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Oh, pleasure, Cindy. Thank you so much as well. Gian dras more an tang agus le bianachtin. Bo Sean and Alba.
That's beautiful. Bye for now.
All right, take care, Cindy.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Oops.